We need to talk about ageism in the US, especially when it comes to Joe Biden, the president, and Donald Trump, his potential opponent. There's just 3 years between them. Joe Biden is 80, Donald Trump was 77 in June. Why is it that people are so ageist here? Why is it that there is this whole commotion being made that one is so much older than the other, when the reality is just there are 3 years between them? And why are people so willing to give up their freedom just because one candidate is 3 years older than the other? I mean, Donald Trump is an outspoken fascist. He promises to lock anybody up who's wronged him and pardon anyone who supports him. And you would choose that just because Joe Biden is 80? I mean, come on, the Prime Minister of Cameroon is 90. Mitch McConnell is 81 and keeps falling over and suffering from concussion and keeps randomly stopping mid-press conference like he's been abducted from the inside. The 118th Congress entered Capitol Hill as one of the oldest in the past century. Now, Joe Biden jokes about his age. He talks about the fact that he has been around since forever, since time began. I think he joked that he was 103. He gets it. He understands. He was able to, at a State of the Union speech, he was so incredibly lucid that he was able to criticize Republicans on the fly and come off script in a way that a man half his age would maybe have struggled. And for me, that was a very telling moment, to be able to do something like that on a public stage. You know, he's not a natural public speaker. He was able to interject in his own speech. I'll show the clip.
So, folks, as we all apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be sponsored. All right. We got unanimity. Social Security and Medicare are a lifeline for millions of seniors. Americans have to pay into them from the very first paycheck they started. So tonight, let's all agree, and we apparently are, let's stand up for seniors. Stand up and show them. We will not cut Social Security. We will not cut Medicare. Those benefits belong to the American people. They earned it. And if anyone tries to cut Social Security, which apparently no one's going to do, and if anyone tries to cut Medicare, I'll stop them. I'll veto it. And look, I'm not going to allow them to be taken away. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. But apparently it's not going to be a problem. Next month, when I offer my fiscal plan, I ask my Republican friends to lay down their plan as well. I really mean it. Let's sit down together and discuss our mutual plans together. Let's do that. I can tell you, the plan I'm going to show you is going to cut the deficit by another $2 trillion.
And here's the other thing to remember, is that you can be old and not ill. Biden is not ill. His doctor has given him a clean bill of health. Minor things, his gait has changed a little bit since he hurt his foot. So he walks with this weird shuffle because he's been a runner and he's been very active his whole life, in contrast to Donald Trump, of course. And I've always thought that people who are overweight look younger than people who are skinny, because you fill out and you don't look like a skeleton. And unfortunately, Joe Biden is slim. He's not stick thin, he's slim. And yet that is weaponized against him. You know, for some reason, like, his age it's been politicized. You know, they pretend he's got dementia without even knowing what dementia looks like. He has a stutter, he has acid reflux, he coughs a lot because of it. He's not ill. He's also not insane or a domestic terrorist. He doesn't incite violence against US citizens. He doesn't try and overturn an election or steal classified documents and not give them back and claim that he has. Why can't people tell the difference between a lifelong public servant growing old gracefully and an authoritarian? You know, Trump is far more likely to have a heart attack than Joe Biden. Biden is slim, Trump is obese. Look at the science. This is why it's so confusing to me as a European looking in on American politics, that why in this moment in history, of all moments in history, are people choosing to critique Joe Biden for being a mature politician. I mean, Edie Cesarelli was born in 1908. She lives in California. She's the oldest living person in the United States. She's 115. She is literally 35 years older than Joe Biden. And she's magnificent. She's a pillar of the community. And look, in many countries, the leader is significantly older than the median member of the population. That is kind of normal. Of the 435 current House lawmakers, 15 of them are 80 or older. John Carter, Texas Republican, 82. Hal Rogers, Kentucky Republican, 85. Maxine Waters, California Democrat, 84. Nancy Pelosi, former Speaker of the House, one of the most respected people in American politics, 83. Bernie Sanders, somebody who has never veered from his politics, who is absolutely on it at every moment. One of the great orators of U.S. politics is 81. North Carolina Republican Virginia Foxx is 80. Texas Republican Kay Granger is 80. And let's not forget Chuck Grassley, the Iowa Republican. He was born in 1933. He's nearly 90 years of age. That was one of the worst years of the Great Depression. That's when Al Capone controlled speakeasies due to the prohibition laws. And your physicality does not affect your presidency. I mean, Dwight Eisenhower had a learning disability. Lincoln had depression. James Madison had epilepsy. Roosevelt had polio and lost the use of his legs, used to hide his wheelchair under a blanket. But the most important thing here, whilst people are kind of desperate to bring Biden down at this really essential crossroads in political history, is that unlike Donald Trump, Joe Biden governs by consensus. His cabinet is the youngest ever. His team are young and energized and plugged in. He works with them. They are allowed to communicate with him. He doesn't lock himself away and insist that he has to do everything himself. He governs by consensus. His chief of staff is 56. His director of Office of Management and Budget is 46. His director of National Intelligence is 54. His secretary of Transportation is 41. And most importantly, his vice president is 58 and a strong, intelligent black woman. Now, in contrast, Donald Trump, who is at an unhealthy weight and is also nearly 80, surrounds himself with nobody. Even his lawyers get ignored. It's his way or the highway. This is a man who filed for bankruptcy 6 times, and his only experience is being a reality TV show host and a property magnate. You know, he's not in public service. He doesn't care for public service. My point is that we are at a political crossroads in U.S. history. The choice isn't just an 80-year-old or a 77-year-old. The choice is between democracy and authoritarianism. It's freedom versus fascism. Now, I don't get to vote in the US, but you do. So make it count.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.